guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of The Winter's Crime by Marie Rutkowski. Although this review will not have spoilers for this book, it will have spoilers for the first book because this is the second book in the trilogy, so if you have not read the series, go and check out my spoiler-free review for the first book to see if you want to pick it up. Otherwise, I wouldn't watch this if you have not read the first book. But if you have and are interested in possibly picking up the second book, go ahead and keep watching. First, let me talk about the world building within this book. The world building is even better than it was in the first book. We actually have a map with this book, which is really, really great, and I really enjoyed. You got to see a lot more of the areas within this world and the different political dynamics. As you guys know, this is a very politically driven book. There's a lot of political intrigue and lying and kind of working and just, it's like a big game of chess, so you kind of get to see the different players within that game, within this book, and those different countries and such. I also want to talk about the writing style along with that. I really love Marie Rutkowski's writing style. I loved it in the first book, but I had kind of forgotten about it before reading this book, and I loved getting back into it. I like how she kind of makes sure that you know time is passing without giving us every single little detail of everything that's going on, but a big chunk of time does take place in these books, and you feel it without having to read about it continuously, and I think that's really hard to do. I've read other books where time is passing but you don't get to see things, and I feel like I'm missing out on stuff. With these books, I do not feel that way, and I love the way that they're done, and it really kind of builds the suspense of everything. Next, I want to talk about our two main characters. First, Kestrel. I was actually worried going into this book that I would forget how much I loved the main characters. I read The Winter's Curse in November of last year, I believe, and I wasn't sure if I would remember. I was nervous. I didn't want to pick it up and not like them as much because I had forgotten about them or anything like that. Nothing like that happened. I completely remember the personalities once I started reading the book again. As soon as I saw Kestrel again for the first time especially, I knew immediately why I loved her. I knew how her personality worked again, and I just adored seeing what was happening with her. Our characters have gone through a lot since we last saw them. It doesn't pick up immediately after the last book ends. Some time has passed a little bit, so they're in different situations, which is really interesting to read. They are definitely not the same people we had in book one. And I think some people might be a little put off by that in some ways because some things have happened and some dynamics have changed within just this world in general, not necessarily between the two characters, but between this world. And it's a very unsettling for the characters themselves, so they're in a very different place. They're almost in like a lonelier place, and they are not on as sure a footing as they even were in the first book, and I would say that the footing they were on in the first book wasn't that good either. So both of the characters are going through a lot. There are a lot of things going on. As I said, there's a lot of different players in this kind of chess game, and it's very interesting to see how everything's kind of working and how our two main characters are reacting to it. But I do feel like they still were the same kind of characters that we had in book one, but they are so different, and they're going through a lot, and the character arcs that we're getting are amazing. So I really, really enjoy that aspect of the book. Also, we have some old side characters and some new side characters, and I did enjoy all of them. Some of the old ones I didn't feel like we got to see enough, and I would have liked to see a little bit more of them fleshed out a little bit, but I actually didn't miss it once I read the book and kind of got through it. I see why that was done and everything, but I liked some of the new characters that we got, and they're very interesting. I'm hoping to see more of them in the future books. I like how everything is laid out. Again, I keep saying like a chessboard, but it really does feel like a chessboard, and all these supporting characters and how everything is kind of being worked around like a game. It is very intriguing and immediately sucks you in. Speaking of sucking you in, as far as the plot goes, as I've said, full of intrigue, even more unstable footing than we were in the first book. A lot is going on. I could not stop reading this book once I picked it up. I was doing some stuff for grad school last week, so I really couldn't read it as much as I wanted to that first day, and I picked it up, but afterwards I just said, screw it, I have to finish this book, and I read it continuously in one sitting. I could not put it down. I was stressed out. I bit my fingernails down to little nubs. It was bad. I'm still not fully recovered from it. It's one of those books where a lot of things are constantly happening and you can never really get your footing as a reader. The characters can't get their footing, and you're just worried in general, stressed out, very almost anxiety producing. It was just a stressful read for me, and I know a lot of people as well, because after I finished this book I tweeted about it. A lot of people responded the exact same way. So overall, I gave The Winter's Crime 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it just as much as the first book, but for different reasons, and I really want to see where the rest of the series goes. I'm very interested to get to the next book. I can't believe I have to wait a year for the next book. That brings me physical pain. I cannot believe it. I am dying. Again, it is one of those books that I want everyone to read immediately, but also I understand people's hesitation to read it immediately because of all of the feelings that people that have read it are having very vocally on Twitter and such. It's a very, very good book. It's not angry feelings, it's just stress a lot of stress, so I'm already ready for the next book. I need it. Give it to me now. So I'm also going to be doing a spoilery gush video on this. I will link that down below for you to check out. So if you have read the book, I recommend going and checking that out and talking to me about it there. Do not leave any spoilers in the comments here, because this is definitely a book that you want to go into without any spoilers, without knowing anything of what's going on, because of how everything is laid out beautifully. So thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys soon. Bye!